Welcome to A Bible Believer Looks at World History, where I'm going to read from the book I wrote to teach homeschoolers, A Bible Believer Looks at World History. I meant to say, welcome to World History Notes, where I'm going to read from the book I wrote to teach homeschoolers. I'm a little absent-minded. Sorry about that. And you can see that on lulu.com, amazon.com, at the Bible Baptist Bookstore, or just follow me here. We're going to talk about the founding of Rome today. So no point in delaying. So archaeologists believe that people of uncertain origin began settling the area known as Latium around 1000 BC. There, after crossing the Tiber, they mingled with the local population or killed them, depending on who you read. Then, over a time, a few small independent city-states developed, the strongest being Alba Longa, lying at the foot of Mount Alban, according to Durant, probably where the Pope's summer home, Castel Gandolfo, exists today. Around 800 BC, a colony of these now called Latins moved about 20 miles northwest and founded Rome. The theory of the origin of Rome is highly speculative, but is given much more credence than the Romans' own traditions, as all written documents regarding its beginning were allegedly burned by the Gauls in the sack of the city in 390 BC, then we are left with the Romans' own explanation or the guesswork of scholars. According to tradition, a large amount of stories and poems, Aeneas, the child of the union between the demon or goddess Aphrodite, Venus, and a mortal man, escaped the burning Troy, an event which we will discuss more closely in our discussion on Greece. And after many adventures brought the Trojan tradition to Latium. There he married Lavinia, daughter of the king, and 8 generations later, their descendant Numitor was the king at Alba Longa. He was overthrown by a usurper or someone who takes the throne, usually by violence or trickery, to which he's not entitled, as in Satan's deceit regarding Adam and Eve. This person named Amulius killed Numitor's sons and forced his only daughter to become a priestess of the goddess Vesta, also known as a Vestal Virgin, a type of pre-Christian nun. This beautiful daughter named Rhea Silvia was then impregnated by the demon or god, however you wish to call it, remembering that the Greeks called their gods demons, Mars, whose statue is one of the ones that gracing our Capitol building in Washington, D.C., and their offspring were named Romulus and Remus. Amulius ordered the twins to be drowned, and they were placed on a raft which was carried to land by the waves. There they were suckled by a she-wolf or a shepherd's wife named Acca Larentia or Lupa, depending upon whose story you read. When they grew up, they killed Amulius, restored Numitor to the throne, and then went out and built Rome. Archaeology provides no confirmation of this tale. Perhaps there's some grain of truth in it, but most of the ancients ascribe some supernatural origin to their kingdoms. Rome consisted of 7 hills, which are often called 7 mountains. In fact, much later in the imperial era, it was said that a man of Rome was a man from the 7 mountains. The 3 tribes that lived on the 7 hills, the Latins, the Sabines, and the Etruscans, formed a federation called Septimontium, or the 7 mountains. This is important to remember when reading the book of Revelation in the Bible. The story goes on to tell how Romulus, in order to secure wives for his settlers, arranged for public games with the Sabines and other tribes in attendance, during which the Romans kidnapped the Sabine women and drove off the Sabine men. The king of the Sabines declared war on and attacked Rome. Tarpeia, the daughter of the Roman who had charge of the fortress on the Capitoline Hill, from which our Congress Capitol building derives its name, opened the gate to the invaders. She was crushed by their shields in retaliation and later gave people the name the Tarpeian Rock, to the site where condemned men were hurled to their deaths. The kidnapped women stopped the conflict due to the fear of losing their new husbands if their fathers and brothers were successful, and losing their fathers and brothers if their new husbands were successful. Romulus persuaded the Sabine king to form an alliance with the Latins in common citizenship, so as the Sabines have been called Curites, it became common later to call all Roman freemen Curites or Curites. I mispronounced some words. I do apologize. You can look them up and see how they should be pronounced. After a long time as king, Romulus was, according to legend, lifted up in a whirlwind to heaven and was after that worshipped as Quirinius, one of Roman's favorite gods. A Sabine was then chosen king. The real power was in the hands of the elders or senators, while the functions of the king were chiefly those of a high priest. This first Sabine king of Rome was Numa Pompilius. He established a uniform worship for the different tribes that comprised Rome, the Roman historian Livy tells us, and, according to Cicero, another historian of Rome, gave them 40 years of peace. Think of the words that come down to us as pomp, as in pomp and circumstance. His successor was Tullus Hostilius, as in hostile, whose main efforts were to look for opportunities for war. Alba Longa, the mother city, was his first victim, and its king was pulled apart by driving chariots in opposite directions while having him tied in between. According to tradition, along with Will and Ariel Durant, around 655 BC, a rich merchant banished from Corinth in Greece and named Demaratus came to live in Tarquinii and married an Etruscan woman. His son, Lucius Tarquinius, moved to Rome and eventually seized power there. The office of king became more powerful politically, and the Etruscan influence began to dominate Rome's art, religion, politics, and engineering. He enriched the other Etruscan cities at Rome's expense and was finally assassinated by the nobility, or class of people who actually owned land, who attempted to put the king back into a priestly status. However, his widow, Tanaquil, managed to place her son, Servius Tullius, on the throne, and he was the first king of Rome not chosen by vote of the wealthy and powerful. According to Cicero, he governed well, but due to his conflict with the nobility of patricians, he made alliances with the wealthier members of the common people called the plebeian. He took a census and classified people by wealth rather than birth. He thereby balanced out the old aristocracy with a class of equites or equites, literally those who owned a horse and armor, or in Latin, equus. Imagine being classed today as those who own a car and those who don't. The census of that era revealed a population of about 260,000 or 80,000 men who would go to war, who could go to war, Rome's national sport. When Servius was charged in ruling illegally, he submitted himself to a plebiscite, a direct vote of the entire electorate today, and according to Livy, received a unanimous vote. But Tarquinius Priscus had him assassinated anyway and was himself killed. Tarquinius Superbus became absolute monarch, king or rex. Guess what word we get from his last name, Superbus? He was a tyrant surrounded by a bodyguard ordering Roman freemen into forced labor. He put to death many leaders of the upper class and ruled brutally, earning the hatred of all. In one of the great moments of Roman history, the Senate deposed him around 508 BC while he was away with the army. The Roman Republic was born. And we're going to discuss that a couple of times. Starting next, we're going to talk about the overthrow of the Tarquins, and we'll discuss that next time. So thank you for watching, and I hope that this spurs you to do some studying on your own.